web world, Scotty D. Welcome to another What's Up Wednesday, the weekly series that is of you, for you, by you, and about you. I am merely your puppet and your servant, answering your questions and covering your topics. And if I happen to pick your question or topic to talk about, I'm not only going to give you a shout out during that video, but I'm also going to give you a promotion and plug to your YouTube channel and any other social media project that you are working on because you are proud of it and you want people to know about it. Guess what? It will happen right here on What's Up Wednesday. Now, it's real simple to get on What's Up Wednesday. All you have to do is email or tweet your question or topic of interest. The email account, scott@scottydonline.com, and the Twitter account is @ScottyDOnline. Both are in the video description below. Now, before we get started, look around me. Everything is different. So before you ask, where am I mentioned this in last week's video, that we are in a temporary location for the next 10 days while our studio is being reconstructed and renovated. You've seen it in the old videos, the bare walls, the echoing noises. Well, everything is being reconstructed as we speak. So we're really excited for that project to be completed and be down in our brand new studio area, and you're going to be along for the ride. In the meantime, the show will go on. This week, I selected an email from our good friend in the techertainment community, Jerren of Ecstatic Bass. Jerren is an independent musician composer of electronic music, and I put a link to Jerren's YouTube channel in the video description below, as well as Jerren's other social media links for you to check out and give Jerren some love after you watch What's Up Wednesday. Make sure you let Jerren know you learned about Ecstatic Bass right here on What's Up Wednesday. And if you want to be featured in a future What's Up Wednesday just like Jerren, don't forget, it's real simple. All you have to do is email or tweet your question or topic of interest. The email account, scott@scottydonline.com, and the Twitter account, @ScottyDOnline. Now to Jerren's email. Jerren's email reads, Scotty, with recent video games being what they are, some of which having unique tracks done by fairly unknown artists at the time they were made, how do you think being featured in a video game in such a way affects that artist's career? Also, what is your opinion on how the underground music scene affects the video game industry? Both very interesting questions, and because I'm not a professional musician, this is a very unbiased take on your questions. Now, to truly address your question, I really think that we need to take a step back from what people think the video game industry is to what I really define it as, because it's much more than just playing a game to me. And I took down a lot of notes for myself when your question came in, because I think that it really deserves some perspective that will bring a lot of what you do to light, and that's the music portion of the gaming industry. Now, I don't think that the video game industry is just playing games. Now, my definition, and I wrote it down because I personally think it's much more complex than playing games. I think the video game industry is a multimedia, cinematic, interactive experience with complex storylines, characters, and action-packed adventures. That is my personal definition of the video game industry. And when you look at it from that perspective, and you take a step back from what people think it is, it's a controller and a disc or a downloaded game on a tablet or a smartphone, it becomes a bigger picture and a much broader experience to the musician that might want to get involved with this type of industry. You know, the video game industry is a lot like television. You run a risk and a gamble when you start off with a brand new franchise. You don't know if people are going to like it. You're gambling money and time and experience and talent and all of these things and much, much more to develop this game. And if you look at it from the perspective of television, where they run pilots, you can almost say that a video game is the same thing. When they release a first run of a video game, it's almost like a pilot. They hope that it takes off. But if it doesn't, they don't want to feel like they've lost a whole lot of money in that project. Now, going into the television era, because I think that it's very cross-relatable, at least now with video games as they are, and I wrote down a bunch of different names of artists and shows because I wanted to kind of bring this all into perspective from a musical concept into video games as it's relatable to television and back and forth. So when I say the song "I'll Be There For You," what comes to mind? You may think about it for a few minutes. Then if I say the Rembrandts, I'll be there for you. It starts to drum up a little bit more. Then I say the TV show Friends. You can really think about that one song from that group that made them bank. Now, when Friends first started out, nobody knew it was going to be a great TV show. Certainly nobody thought that it would go as far as to be in syndication all over the globe. Now, the Rembrandts love this because you can sure bet that when they did this song and they contracted with the producers and the writers of Friends, that they locked into that contract residuals. And that's key here. If you think that this project might go somewhere, you might want to ensure that there is a residual income coming in for you. And I'll talk about this in just a few minutes because it does differ in the video game industry. Let me go down a couple more things. Superman. What comes to your mind when I say the song Superman? The guy with the cape? No. Let's talk about an operating room. Scrubs. The song Superman from Laszlo Bain. Did you even know who the person who sang that song was? I didn't. But when I did the research based on your question, I learned a lot about artists that I had no idea what their name was. So whether they're signed or not, independent or with a major label, is irrelevant to me. I didn't know who they were. So if you look at it from that perspective as well for the video game industry, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are an independent artist. You are just an unknown artist, an unsigned artist. And whether you label that as independent is completely up to you. I look at it as an unknown artist at that point in time that first run of that video game comes out. Run down just a couple more TV shows because I know that you're like, well, this is about video games. Why are you talking about TV? Because remember, my definition of a video game is not just a game. It's a multimedia, cinematic, interactive experience with complex storylines, characters, and action-packed adventures. Does that sound like a TV show or a movie? Of course it does, because it's the same type of experience. You're engrossing yourself into an experience that allows you to escape from reality, and that is the gaming industry as well. Let's go down here. Yahoos and Triangles. Do you know what that song is? If you don't, it's the theme song from King of the Hill, and it's by The Refreshments. Did you know that? Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I didn't know that. I knew of the song from the TV show. I didn't know the name of the song or who sang it. Let me just go down here. Let's see. Little Boxes. I'll give you the name. Malvina Reynolds is the artist who made this song. Little Boxes. TV show Weeds. Did you know? Huh? Bet you didn't. And then, more notably, one of the more famous current TV shows that is still in production and in syndication is The History of Everything. Do you know that song? That's kind of like the slang word or term for the song, but it is known as this, The History of Everything, written by the Bare Naked Ladies, The Big Bang Theory. This song is huge. Now, the Bare Naked Ladies also had other songs, but when you hear that song on TV from The Big Bang Theory, when it first came out, I didn't know who sang that song. I looked it up and went, wow, it's The Big Bang Theory from Bare Naked Ladies. Now, I knew that a long time ago, but I didn't know that when the first run of that pilot came out for that TV show. It was like, wow, that's a great little hook, and it's really jazzy, and I like it. Who sings it? The Bare Naked Ladies? You mean the people who sang 1 week? You see what I'm talking about? You can take a first run of anything, movies that become sequels, TV shows that become series, video games that become a franchise and multi-runs and generations and spin-offs of the same video game and get that same experience in it. Now, in video games, some of video games that are out there more focus on the music tracks in it. Tony Hawk is one of the more popular ones out there. Rock Band is another. The whole game is based around music and song. And those are kind of unfair because the whole game revolves around the song. You're skateboarding, you've got the skateboard track, and you're just doing tricks and stunts. And other than that, it's really no other experience to have in the game. The music makes the experience in the game. Let's see some of the other big names that are in Tony Hawk. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, but Tony Hawk, the franchise of games, Goldfinger is presented in one of the Tony Hawk games. Primus, let's see, Run DMC, the Ramones, big names have been featured in the Tony Hawk series. Now, taking back into some of the other games, Mass Effect 2, Fonts, the band, is featured inside of Mass Effect 2. Need for Speed Underground 2 has Snoop Dogg featuring The Doors, Riders in the Storm, rather, a remake, kind of a mashup. MLB 09, the show, has a TV on the radio in it. Let's see, MLB 09 also has Spoon in it. FIFA 98. Now, I know that I'm going all over the charts with video games, but I'm just trying to bring an experience to you that shows you that it really doesn't make a difference if it's a first run or a series of video games. It makes the difference if you can be a recognizable artist inside of that franchise video game. Let's see. Miles Davis, of all names, is featured in GTA 4. Did you know that? Let's see. Johnny Cash is in Tony Hawk. Let's see. GTA San Andreas has got Tom Petty and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg all in one franchise of that one run of video games. Going into BioShock, we've got Bobby Darin is featured in BioShock. GTA Vice City has got the Flock of Seagulls in it from back in the 80s. Red Dead Redemption has got Jose Gonzalez in it. And Portal and Rock Band both feature this one artist's song. And if you've played the Portal games, you know what I'm talking about. It's the very melodic song from Jonathan Coulton. So these are artists that you may know or may not have known who they are, but they are featured in these video game franchises. Now, if you don't think that this gets the eye of the entire industry, you need to really take a reality check, because Rolling Stone had put together the top 9 legitimately, let me just say it right, the top 9 legitimately awesome video game soundtracks, and they've listed them on their site, and I'll put a link in the video description below to where you can look up this yourself. And these are the top 9 legitimate awesome video game soundtracks as listed by Rolling Stone. Number 9, I was completely surprised at number 9, because I thought that this one game franchise would be way higher in the charts. But number 9 is the original run of Halo, released in 2001. I think that was a great soundtrack if you go back and actually play the game and listen to the cinematic background that's supporting the gameplay. It's an enormously intensive background soundtrack score that's made for this video game. Castlevania Symphony of the Night back in 1997 is ranked number 8. So you don't have to be a very modern game to be in the top running of having a great song on a soundtrack or a score for a video game. Portal, the original one, released back in 2007. Final Fantasy VII. Everybody who's played Final Fantasy in the entire series knows that it has a phenomenal soundtrack on the back end. And the number 7 out of that series made the list from Rolling Stone. Let's see, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance in 2013. A very great musical soundtrack for that. Red Dead Redemption coming back into the conversation once again, released in 2010. You'll know this one. If you've never played this, you've been locked into a cave for your entire life. But the soundtrack to Tetris, man, that is one of the most recognizable songs out there. And it's not because of its original purpose and use of the song. It's notably recognizable from the game Tetris. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, because then the people at YouTube will just stop the video because I'm singing a song. Anyways, and then coming into the top 2 spots per Rolling Stone is The Elder Scrolls V 5, Skyrim, released in 2011, and the #1 music soundtrack for a video game is, get it, ready? Are you sitting down? Out of all the video games ever made, they say that Super Mario Bros. 1985 release is the #1 game soundtrack. So there you have it. So when you go back to your original question, and your original question says, how do you think being featured in a video game in such a way affects an artist's career? I think that it's huge. I think that if you have the opportunity to produce a song that will be featured in a video game, whether it's a first run of a video game or somewhere into the franchise, you have a chance at making it big really fast. And when you asked also what's your opinion on how the underground music scene affects the video game industry, I think it's huge. I think that video game producers, writers, artists, renderers, all of these individuals realize that the independent artists are where it's really happening. You have a studio in your home, or you have a studio that you go to, and you produce music because you love it. You embrace it. It's what you do. It's what you enjoy. And that shows and shines through in the music that you make. And I think that is where the video game industry will thrive from, is knowing that they don't have to go after the big name artist and pay big money for licensing and royalties and all the stuff to a big name artist. You can get your feet wet in any game franchise that you can think of if you're invited to come and be part of it, and take that chance to make the jump. Be part of that experience, because remember, it's not just about grabbing that controller and playing a game. It's engrossing the entire experience to that player. Games are played on smartphones. They're played on tablets. They're played on consoles. They're played everywhere. And as we progress through time, I think what you're going to find is the video game industry is going to meld into just what you have on your television, what you have in your hand at that point in time. I don't know how many times I find myself playing games more on my phone or my tablet than I do going to a console. It's just more convenient here. So making music that is enjoyable even in a mobile experience is just phenomenal. So I hope this really helped you out. I hope it got you jazzed up to go out and make great tracks and great songs and compose great music and really get your name out there to the video game industry. And I wish you all the best of luck. If you like this video, if you like the discussion, please give this a thumbs up. It really goes a mile with your thumbs up and your appreciation on YouTube. Please share this video with everybody that you know. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to this video, please do so. If you already are, thank you very, very much. And if you want to be featured on an upcoming What's Up Wednesday, it's real simple to do so. All you have to do is drop an email with your question or your topic of interest to scott@scottydonline.com. You can also tweet your question or your topic over on Twitter. It's @scottydonline. So until next week's What's Up Wednesday, we'll see you next time, Web World.